Okay, great.
I'm going to mute
Awesome.
out.
Well, first, just want to introduce myself and the topic. So I'm just going to be talking a little bit about how to go from an entry-level position to your dream job, whether that's a manager, an individual contributor, whatever that may be. Just kind of want to help you guide you through that process because it can definitely be confusing and there's lots of different options. So my name is Lauren Schuler. I'm a talent acquisition consultant with Unum. I've been with Unum for about 2 years now, but been in talent acquisition for about 5 years. So, so far so good. All right. Okay, so a lot of questions I get are really just where do I even start? It can be really confusing when you first get into the working world of, okay, I've got this job. Now what? Now where do I go? Does this company even offer opportunities for growth? So one thing that I always recommend is asking questions about career growth in your interview. So don't be afraid, kind of like the previous presenter was mentioning at the end to take some time to say, what are my opportunities here for career growth? Does this position have a designated career path? What are my options to move within the business? Can I move different departments? What does that look like for me? That's something that I asked about when I interviewed with Unum, and that's actually one thing that attracted me to the company was everyone that I talked to had been there for a different amount of time, whether 5 years, 20 years, 25 years, and they had all had fulfilling careers. They'd all been able to move to different areas of the business. And even if it was just a lateral move, they got to experience different things. So don't be afraid to bring that up in the interview process. If anything, it's encouraging to the employer because they know that you're interested and they know that you're looking for a long time fit. Next, set some career goals using the SMART goal method. So make sure they're specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. So go through and think about things that maybe you struggle with. Maybe it's using data to create, different cases, maybe for a project. So how can you overcome that and make that a strength? So setting those specific goals can really, really help. And a lot of times companies will ask you to set goals anyways. So it shows, what you're trying to achieve within the next year. I know that's something that we're doing right now. I'm going through this myself. So I'm working on setting my goals for this year. And we use this method. So it can be really helpful to actually give you something to kind of follow, almost like a guide. So set some goals and then don't be afraid to market yourself. So sell yourself to the company, tell your teammates, tell your manager what you feel like you're good at. If you feel like you're really good at building relationships, maybe there's someone on your team that doesn't feel that that's their strength. You guys can work together, and that will give you an opportunity to even maybe be a mentor to someone, and that helps you get leadership skills. It helps you develop your coaching skills. Really market yourself and let your manager, your team, your company know where you feel strong. And always remember that you own your career development. No one's going to care about your career as much as you care about it. Your manager is there as an advocate, but you really have to own that. So actively look for projects that align with your career interest and your goals. So if there's a project, maybe your company is working on how to build a better internal network, and that's something that you feel like you're a really strong networker. Put your name out there, actively look for those opportunities and don't be afraid to take leadership initiative. Like I mentioned, if you talk about what you're good at and you really market your skills, that will give you that opportunity to be a mentor, to coach different employees. Just really take that initiative when you get the chance and share your ideas with your manager. Don't be afraid or hesitant to share your ideas, because you never know, your idea could be the next big project that changes the whole way your team does something. So really voice your opinion and put your ideas out there and network and use your community. So companies are built with all different types of people. There's typically all different types of departments. So get your name out there, meet people from different departments, use your community, even if it's not within your company, if it's within, your town or wherever you're located, build that relationship, and that can really help you build a long-term career, especially if maybe you want to get into a different area of business. So if you're right now, let's just say you're in HR and you want to get into finance, build that network and learn the steps that you need to take in order to make that move. All right. Mentors. So I really, really recommend finding a mentor. Not only finding a mentor, but finding a mentor that can work with you on your weaknesses. So look for someone who maybe has that strength where you feel like you lack. So if like I mentioned earlier, if you feel like you struggle using data and analyzing data, find someone who's really strong at that. Look outside of your department. It doesn't necessarily need to be someone who is your manager or is a peer. Look outside of your department. That could be how you broaden your network as well. And then you own that relationship. So it's your responsibility to schedule those meetings, to come with an agenda, and make sure that you have topics to discuss. And that's how that relationship is really going to flourish if you come prepared and really own that. And not only that, but you'll get a lot of respect from your mentor if you handle it that way as well. And I just want to pause really quick and see if there are any questions so far.
So if you guys want to unmute yourself for a moment and ask your question, Lauren will do her very best to respond to it. But if you feel a little bit more comfortable dropping it in the chat, I'd be happy to kind of monitor that for her so that we get her perspective.
Absolutely. And I'll leave plenty of time at the end to ask questions too. Awesome. All right. Manager conversation. So like I mentioned earlier, your manager is really your biggest advocate. They're the person who sees your work day in, day out. They know exactly how you operate. If you're communicating with them, they know your career goals. So really make sure that during that time that you have with your manager, you're taking that time to talk about your career development and where you want to go and what your interests are. I know my manager and I work really closely on helping me get to where I want to go. So she knows if a project comes up that's in my interest is people development. So if there's a project that comes up in people development, I'm going to be the first person that she brings up as, someone who could potentially join that project team or be a project manager. So they're really the ones that are going to help you get to where you need to go. And like I said, share your ideas with them. If you have an idea of how you can make a process better, how you can, build a better relationship, share it with them. And don't be afraid to ask to take on a project, even if you aren't the first person that they think of, or if they don't throw your name out there. Don't be afraid to say, hey, I know this project's coming down the pipeline. It's something that I'm really interested in. I feel like it aligns really well with my career goals, and I'd love to join this project team. They're never going to say no. They're going to try to work with you and figure out how they can either get you on that project or get you on a similar project. So don't be afraid to, ask. The worst that can happen is they say no. Lateral moves. I think a lot of times people are afraid to make lateral moves. They feel like they're being stagnant, but truthfully, a lateral move is not a bad thing. It helps you strengthen your business acumen, so you learn more about the business, you're more well-rounded, you're more prepared to step into different departments. It's an opportunity to change your career path. Maybe you want to go from marketing to HR. That'll give you that opportunity. You might not be able to step into a higher level, but they may consider you for that lateral move. It also helps deepen that network. Like we talked about earlier, network is really important. So it'll help you deepen that and really strengthen those relationships. And it can also help you define your career path. So it's okay if you're, right out of college, it's your first real career, position. It's okay if you don't know what you want to do. Truthfully, I don't think I did. I know I did it as a matter of fact. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and it took me a minute to figure it out. So even if you make, one wrong turn in your career path, don't let it get you down. You can, like I said, make that lateral move, and all you're really doing along the way is figuring out what you like and what you don't like, and also, getting stronger at what you do like. So you're building your knowledge, you're building your credibility so that when you're ready to take the next step up, you have all that in your wheelhouse. So don't be afraid to take those lateral moves. It really can help you figure out what you do and don't like. I started out just kind of, for me, I started out in sales and I pretty quickly figured out that that is not what I wanted to do. And I took a lateral move into recruiting, and it's the best thing I did. I'm so thankful that I made that decision, and it was a scary thing to do, but if you are confident that that's the area that you want to be in, it's never going to be the wrong decision. Take advantage of opportunities that are offered to you. So look for volunteer opportunities within your organization. I know like big companies like we offer a ton of opportunities to volunteer. You can volunteer with different organizations. And what that does as well is it helps you network is so important. It helps you build that network. It helps you learn, about different people within the organization. Maybe you do a volunteer opportunity and you learn about someone's position that you had no idea even existed. And it can help you kind of navigate where you want to go next. Also, a lot of companies will offer leadership development programs. Take advantage of them. I know we offer a leadership academy. We offer an accelerated leadership program. We do different things just to help our employees make sure they're ready to take that next step. And that's pretty common within big organizations. So don't be afraid to take advantage of those. Even if it's something that's not offered within your company, there are lots of things that are offered, online, whether they're seminars, workshops, anything like that. Take advantage of those. A lot of times companies will reimburse you for them if they align with your job or align with where you want to go. So make sure you take advantage of all those resources that are available to you. And I think this is where a lot of people struggle. That big question of, am I ready for the next step? Am I ready to, move up? Is that what I want to do? Is this the right move for me? And it reminds me of the quote, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Even if you just apply and try, the worst that can happen is you go through the interview process and you get that exposure to the people who are in the interview team. You also get the experience of interviewing. So what kind of questions are they going to ask next time when I want to interview for this position? It's good experience no matter what. So even if you're not quite sure if you're ready, talk with your manager and take a chance. Like I said, the worst that can happen is they say no, and you still have your current position that you're in, and you still have that opportunity to, grow and let your career flourish. So don't be afraid to take that shot. And then, like I said, I wanted to leave plenty of time for questions because I think, a career is really personalized. You can't really generalize it because everybody's going to take different steps and different career paths. So I wanted to leave plenty of time for everyone to ask questions. So now I'm going to open it up to you guys. Any questions for me?
I have a question. Hi, Lauren. Thank you. This is an awesome presentation. This is India Butler. You mentioned like having that relationship with your manager and talking to your manager about feedback and things. And so I wondered if you have any recommendations for if you have a more relational manager. So someone who may not always give you accurate feedback or may not give you full feedback. They just kind of want to keep you happy. And so they tell you maybe what you want to hear, which could potentially not prepare you for the next step because you think that you're doing great. Then you apply for the next step, but you're not ready because you didn't get accurate feedback to show that you weren't ready. So like, what can you do to navigate those types of situations?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's when it's really important to find that mentor. So find the mentor that has your manager's weaknesses. Make sure that they're going to be honest and open to giving you some tough feedback, and bring it up to them. Say, I'm really looking for some specific feedback. Here's where I think I struggle. That's just my personal opinion. How can I grow and overcome that? Or you can go to a peer. Also, your peers are going to be able to give you that feedback as well, especially if it's someone who you work really closely with and understands your position. They're going to be able to give you that feedback as well. But a lot of times, if you have a really relational manager and they want to build that relationship, they're going to do a great job of helping you focus on your career development, because if they're a relational manager, they probably really care about their people. And so they're going to have a really strong interest in helping you grow, and be honest with them. If you feel like you're not getting what you need from them, don't be afraid to bring that up. Don't be afraid to say, I really want some constructive feedback because I feel like there's something where that's blocking me from being ready to take the next steps. Would you mind taking some time to give me some constructive criticism?
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Hey, Lauren, I want to come back to your point there about accessing your mentor and making a really smart use of folks in your network. And I just want to get your perspective on this, where I think some people are super comfortable to really invest a lot of effort and energy into one individual as a mentor, where others will pick up two or three or four other people that they recognize some area of strength or some area of expertise, and they'll approach that individual about that specific focus area. For instance, I've got a friend who just sent his oldest daughter off to college, and that's like 3 years away for me. So I'm asking him questions on text and like, what is this like, and how's your relationship changing? I want to do this right. And then I've got other people in my life that help me professionally and personally. So tell me a little bit more about how how we might use mentors for a range of topics, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think some people struggle with the idea of you can outgrow a mentor. If you get to a point where you feel like I've gotten everything I can out of this relationship, I think it's time for me to find someone else who is going through what I'm going through, or now I have this new weakness that I'm really trying to grow and overcome. I need someone else. So it's okay if you feel like this relationship isn't really beneficial for me anymore, because truthfully your mentor is taking time out of their day. They're probably busy. They'll completely understand. Just make sure you have that open conversation with them, and even use them to see if they can help you find someone else. Maybe they know someone else who is in their department that is really good at whatever you're struggling with. um, Having a mentor doesn't necessarily mean you have one mentor for forever. You can change, you could have multiple. If you have time and you feel like you need multiple resources, don't be afraid to have two or three. um, I, I think mentors really can help you focus on things that where you struggle, but also help you get into different departments that you're interested in. So if you're interested in, changing departments, find a few mentors that are in that department. Find a few mentors that are in roles that you're potentially interested in, and ask them questions and see, how they what helped them get to where they are. So yeah, I think you're exactly right. It changes with what you're going through, and it changes where with what you're doing in your career. Also, hopefully maybe one day they become your manager. Maybe you move into their department and then you got to move on from them. So yeah, it's not a forever thing.
Yeah, I've heard that mentors are good for a reason, for a season, or for life. And it's
Yes,
very, very rare that mentors stick around that long for life. But I think at times students and really anybody can feel like, well, I'm just like this needy person who's needing these things from others. I think it's also important to kind of pay it back and try to find people that maybe you can help from your experience, and you can offer that mentoring, because I think that oftentimes folks that want to move up into management roles, one of the big obstacles is a lack of supervision. And so while I would not try to equate mentoring with supervision, I think that there are some nice transferable skills about clearly setting goals and communicating and resolving conflict. So I think that folks that want to move into managerial positions, I think that show an interest in mentoring others. And so maybe if you recently graduated from UTC, you can reach out to me or a couple of my colleagues. We'd be happy to connect you with some students that would love to have a relationship with a recent graduate and talk through some of those early steps of transitioning into the world of work.
absolutely, absolutely. And that kind of goes back to, don't be afraid to market yourself and share your strengths with your manager, because they might have someone who, maybe there's a new hire who, they're going to match you with, so that you can be so that you can be their mentor, and that can help you grow those leadership skills. Also, kind of going back to when you have that mentorship relationship with someone, and you're the mentee, set really clear expectations. So in your first initial meeting, say, this is what I'm looking for, this is where I need help. Are you good with a monthly meeting for about an hour? I'll come with an agenda. I'll send it to you ahead of time. This is what we will talk about. Does that work for you? Um, if you set those really clear expectations from the beginning, they know exactly what they're getting into. They can, put time away. They can manage their time the way they need to make sure they're able to help you. Any other questions or anything? And like I said, really, truly, your career, it's all personalized. You might take a wrong step, you might take a wrong turn, but you have a long career ahead of you. So don't worry if you make a mistake or you feel like this isn't the right role for me. Everything will help you grow. Everything will help you gain different knowledge. It'll all help you in the long run.
Yeah, I really appreciate that point, Lauren. And our career work is highly personal, and it's what we do for work really kind of influences our identity in strange ways. And so you're more than what you do for work, but sometimes it feels that way, especially as kind of these artificial barriers, working from home and all that stuff begins to blur things a little bit further. But I think it's really, really important to realize that where you start probably won't be where you end up. And if you play your cards right and you push your network and you bet on yourself, and you really kind of put yourself in uncomfortable situations with a lot of readiness and a lot of grace, I think you could probably win the day by having more and more opportunities to have greater conversations and maybe make a broader impact in that world of work in your community. So, Lauren, I want to thank you for being a part of Mind the Gap and for sharing of your time and your experience and your expertise so generously with us. And just want to thank you for all that you've done to get ready for this talk, but also all the work that Unum does in the community and connecting with the nonprofits and the public school system and all of the things that you guys do with UTC. You guys are an incredible community partner, and I just really want to appreciate you publicly for being part of that tremendous organization.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we thank you guys for, everything that you offer to us and the relationship you guys have. It's helpful for us as well. It's mutually beneficial.
Fantastic. That's great. So anyway, students, participants, just want to, again, ask you just continue to show Lauren your appreciation, and we will be picking up with our next session at 11:30. So in this room, we're going to have Lauren Burns, and she's going to be talking about some essential aspects of well-being. So thank you again, Lauren. I really appreciate you being here, and excited about our next conversations.
Absolutely. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thanks.